Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. This is the first one I'm doing using the OBS recording software because Shadowplay just keeps fucking up. The latest forced update has fucked it up yet again and I've had a gutful of it, so I'm now using this. We've had the full intro there, we're not going to sit through it again. So anyway, this is Frontier Elite 2, and there are people who have been waiting some 2 years for me to do this bloody review. So here we are. Now this is the Amiga version, released in 1993 by GameTek. And published by my favourites and yours, Frontier Developments. Now, on the start page here, you have several options which it is constantly racing through. I'm having a battle to keep the menu on screen, so fuck it, we'll let the fucking intro run through again while I'm doing this introduction. Now, I'll start by addressing one thing. There is a quite persistent rumour about this game, and about the fact that when it was initially in development, it was never planned to be a sequel to Elite. I don't believe that for a moment. It doesn't help that everybody connected with the game, whether they be from Frontier Developments as they were when this was written, or from GameTek, or from Konami, or whatever, have always denied this, and yet the rumour persists. I think the rumour is absolute bullshit. This was planned to be Elite 2 from the start. And the reason that the rumour started, I think, is that there is very little in this game that actually plays or feels like the original. In fact, right, let's get a game started. Right, we'll start in ROS 154. That's the recommended start position. Now what I'll do, I'll just quickly go into the menu here and turn off that wind noise. Right, so the things that are similar to Elite, well, there's your ratings from, you know, starting off at harmless and working your way up to Elite. There's, well, you hyperspace from one system to another, and you can buy and sell commodities. That's about as much as there is. That's as far as it goes for similarities between this and Elite. The two games play very, very differently, and because of this, the fan base was very, very divided. I mean, Elite had a huge following, and not surprising. It was a fantastic game. It revolutionised gaming. But Frontier, because it changed so much, not least the way you actually pilot the ship, it really did divide the fans, and it divided them quite considerably. People either loved the game or they hated it. I freely admit I am in the former category. I fucking love this game, and that's going to become quite apparent throughout this review. That's not to say that it is infallible. It does have its issues, but we'll cover those as we get to them. Now, I'll also point out that I'm running this on an Amiga 1200, and I'm doing this for two reasons. Firstly, the Amiga 1200 was the computer I had at the time back in the day when I had this, because surprise surprise, I bought this on the day of release. The other reason is practicality. This game, when running on An Amiga 500 is pretty slow. It's a bit too much for it. So yeah, if you're going to be playing this on an emulator, set it up as an Amiga 1200. If you are playing it on original hardware, well, if you've got an Amiga 1200, great. Otherwise, be prepared to go into the menu here, bring it up, and change the level of shape detail to low. You might get away with medium. On the 1200, I can actually set it to very high. That is all of the changes I really need to make. You notice here in the other options, you can set it so that it has the elite control method in space, which is very tempting to do. I mean, I remember back in the day when I first started playing this, I did select that. I didn't use it for very long. It's yeah, this game really wasn't made with the elite control method in mind. It makes the game very, very difficult. Right. So let's start by showing you the basic controls, which are all down here in these icons. Now, although it has numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, to 10, you don't actually use the number keys for those, you use the function keys. So it would have been helpful if it had, you know, F1, F2, F3, and so on. But it doesn't. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So if you select 1, it cycles through your views. Here's your rear view. This is the exterior view, which yeah, you can change to whatever angle. There is our ship. We are in an Eagle. That is the ship you start in, or at least it's the ship you start in if you start in ROS 154. The other starting positions, okay, if you start in Mars in the solar system, you have an Eagle there as well, but a certain piece of equipment is not on your ship. You have to fit it. I'll explain what that is in a bit. The third starting option is in Lathe, the starting place in the original Elite. And if you choose that starting position, you start off in a Cobra Mark III, which is a much better ship than the Eagle, but you start with no equipment of any kind. And I mean none. You don't even have the scanner. Your display looks like this, except these 2 missiles here are missing because you don't have any missiles. So yeah, you have to buy the scanner as a ship upgrade. So that's what the first option there is. The second option will bring up the galaxy map. And then you click it again, it brings up the system map of the system you're in. I'll come back to that when we are going to be leaving. Now 3 brings up your status panels. So here we are then. Ship equipment status, we have the Eagle long range fighter. The drive system is class 1 hyperdrive, which gives us a maximum range of 8 light years. That is the only piece of equipment that is already fitted to your ship. You can upgrade the hyperdrive if there is room, but yeah, you usually start off with a relatively basic one whenever you're buying a new ship. Some of the later ships, which are much larger, will have class 2, 3, 4, etc., all the way up to class 8. Class 8 is so huge that you can't actually buy it anywhere. It has to come fitted with the ship that you buy. You can't upgrade to a class 8 hyperdrive, and there are only a very, very small number of ships that can actually use it. So carry on. Hull condition obviously 100%. Shield generators 0 units. Yes, you have no shields at the start of the game. So if you take any hits, they damage your hull straight away. And considering this is quite a small ship, it doesn't take very many hits for this thing to be destroyed. Then underneath that is the various equipment that you have fitted to your ship. So we have a scanner, we have atmospheric shielding, which you need if you're going to land on a planet. If you don't have that, you cannot land on a planet of any kind. And then we have the automatic pilot. That has replaced the docking computer because the flight method in this game has changed so much that basically you really do need that automatic pilot, which makes the other starting positions I mentioned, the one in the solar system and the one in Lave, not very appealing because you don't have the automatic pilot. I'll say flying this ship manually is extremely tough. Like I say, in if you start in Lave, you don't have any of these, and you also don't have the front gun, which is a 1 megawatt pulse laser. Now the 1 megawatt pulse laser is quite frankly utterly useless, but well, what can you do? It's your starting weapon. You've got to put up with it basically. Press 3 again, it takes you through all of your other all the rest of your profile. So our military standing, we have no rank with Federation, we are an outsider with the Empire, and we are harmless in our elite rating. Legal status is clean all the way. We have no criminal record, we have no medals or permits. Carry on again to the cargo inventory, and as you can see we have 1 ton of hydrogen fuel. Now if you had crew members, which you do need for larger ships, then that would also appear in here, your crew roster, where you can sack various crew members for whatever reason. And if you want to replace them, well, we'll come to that in a moment when it comes to hiring crew. But that is level 3. Also, if you're doing missions, the mission summary, such as it is, will appear on this page as well. So 3 does have a lot of info there. 4, this is the station services. This is certainly not in the original Elite. As I say, it's easier for me to point out the features that are in Elite compared to the features that are not. So I'll point out things that are in the original Elite. Things that have changed, I'll just, you know, explain them as normal. So you start off with a launch request, pretty self-explanatory, but yes, you do have to select the launch request. You can't just take off when you feel like it, so you have to get permission. Then you have the shipyard, because unlike Elite, where you go through the game in the same ship, here you can buy any ship that is in the game. And you will notice Constrictor. Now there are quite a few new ships in Frontier. Most of the ships from Elite have been brought over. There are 5 that haven't, and to be honest, I don't know why they weren't. The first, well, there's the Mamba. I don't know why that's not here, but it's not. The Fer de Lance, because yes, I finally learned how to say that properly. I don't know why that's not here either, but no, it isn't. The Cougar, which is only a tiny little thing, so you know, I'll gloss over that. The Worm landing craft, again, tiny little thing. As far as I'm aware, the Worm landing craft only appeared in the Commodore 64 version anyway, so that might explain why. And then finally the Wolf Mark II, but again, that ship only appeared in the 16-bit versions of Elite, so it's not that surprising that it's not here. But yes, well, not one of the first mission you get in Elite is the Constrictor, which is a prototype ship that has been stolen and you have to destroy it. But now the Constrictor has been built and it's now readily available. So that's how it looks. You can see it costs 143,000 credits, or if you part exchange it with your current ship, 106,900. Now, mass fully laden 120, that the greater the mass, the longer it takes you to do hyperspace jumps. I'll explain that when we are up and flying. Trying to explain like the flight and the hyperspace, yeah, that's going to take some doing. So internal capacity is 90 tons, which is actually not too bad. Gun mountings, it has 2, which is front and rear. Most ships will have either 1, 2 or 4. I know there is at least one ship that has 3, but 3 is an unusual number to have. So if it's just 1, it's on the front. If it's 2, then it'll be front and rear. If it's 4, then it's front and rear and then upper and lower turrets. So 3, it will be only 1 turret, but I don't know which one. I can't remember the ship now that has only 3. I think it's either the Tiger or the Lion have them, or has the 3. But well, I did use a Lion once back in the day. It's a pretty terrible ship, I have to say, but I did use one. But I just can't remember if it was upper or lower turret. Anyway, missile pylons 2, same as the Eagle. Crew of 2. So if you get this ship, you've got to then hire a crew member. If you buy this ship and don't hire a second crew member, you can't launch. So you've got to get the crew there. Main thruster acceleration, that is a very good acceleration rate. Retro thrusters, 10 Earth-G, that's a very good deceleration rate. Drive fitted is class 2 hyperdrive, and you look at the hyperspace ranges, class 2 gives you 6.66 light years. That is terrible, and that is definitely the Constrictor's weak link there. So although I did get a Constrictor when I played this back in the day, it was the first ship I got that needed a second crew member. I didn't have it for very long because that hyperspace range was awful, and it was too expensive, and also, you know, to get the class 3 hyperdrive, and it also takes up too much space. So, well, there's a Tiger Trader here. Yeah, here we go. Gun mountings 3. So that's one of these ships that has a turret somewhere, but I don't know if it's above or below the you know, on the upper or lower bulkheads. And then there's also a Puma Clipper. This is the second largest ship in the game. So fully laden mass of 1,000 tons, internal capacity 825 tons. The Panther Clipper is the biggest ship. That has a mass of 2,000 tons. Actually, I'm trying to remember if it's the mass or if it's the internal capacity. It has a huge amount of space. You can see this ship needs a crew of 9. The Panther Clipper needs a crew of 12. So gun mountings 4, missile pylons 8. It's very slow. Thruster acceleration is 6. Retros is 3. Has a class 6 hyperdrive, so its jump range is 7.2, which again is not great. But then these huge ships, yeah, you're not going to expect them to travel through hyperspace very easily. There's a lot of mass to shift there. So part exchange cost on this thing is 1,228,900, which is a lot. So that's the ships. Now you can also buy a multitude of upgrades, but this particular station doesn't have a great deal available. But what I will do is I will sell my 2 missiles that I have. Okay, so let's get rid of those. And you'll notice that my cargo space went up by removing the missiles, as well as me getting the credits back. Because if you look in the far column here, WT weight, and each item has a various amounts of weight there. That is because the way the game works now, if I just show you as an example, we'll go back to the shipyard and we'll go back to the ships again. So bring up the constrictor again. So its internal capacity with no drive is 90 tons, but that internal capacity is for everything. So that's for your cargo and all of your upgrades. That all comes out of that internal capacity. So let's say you have one of these with absolutely nothing fitted to it at all, not even a hyperdrive system. So you have 90 tons available. So then you then go to the upgrades. Oh shit, I accidentally... Oh well, that doesn't matter. So we have 90 tons available. So we buy the class 1 hyperdrive, that's 10 tons. So now we have 80 tons available. And then you may want to buy the 5 megawatt pulse laser, so that's 3 tons. So now you've got 77 tons of space left. And then you buy the automatic pilot, it's another ton, so you're down to 76. And the atmospheric shielding, we'll have that, another ton, so it's down to 75. So you see what I mean? And that then means you've, although you can fit, you know, 90 tons worth of equipment, you don't want to, because you do need some room for cargo. Not only that, you also need some room for fuel, because the fuel you use is listed here as a commodity, because essentially it is a commodity, but this is where you do your refueling. So you have to make sure that you have enough fuel to do the hyperspace jump that you want to make. It does tell you on the map how much you need, but then you also have to make sure you have enough fuel on board to get you from the entry point of the system to wherever you're going to dock. So you have to make sure you've got space in your ship for the fuel that you need. So if we have a look quickly at the galaxy map here, so let's say we want to go to Barnard Star, 5.42 light years, and you'll see fuel required 1 ton. So right, we look at the stock market again. Well, I've got 1 ton, but that's for the hyperspace jump, so I can buy a second, and that will then make sure we've easily got enough to get to the docking station. This green stripe here, there's actually 3 bars here. This first one is your fuel, so you know when you're running low. The other one I think is the heat level of your weapons, and next one is your shield level, I think. Although you do get a readout in the top corner there if your shields are recharging. So I think that's what the 3rd bar is there for. So I mean, so the way that the internal space is used now is very, very different to how it is in Elite, but I really like it. I do like the way it gives you an immense amount of flexibility. You can outfit your ship any way you like, providing you know, you have the space. I do think that is a really great way of doing that. Other things in the shipyard is repairs and servicing. It recommends, well, you can see here, service your ship at least once a year. That sounds like you have an awful long time. you know, 1 year, but that's 1 year game time. And 1 year does not last anywhere near as long as you might think. Again, this is stuff that I will try to explain when we launch. Obviously, if you've taken damage, then, you know, in the repairs and servicing section there, that's where you repair it. And then finally, contact the local police, obviously, for paying fines. You know, so pretty self-explanatory. Next one down is the bulletin board. And here you get various missions. Now, to begin with, most of the missions you can't really do. I mean, I don't have any luxury goods. I couldn't afford them even if I did. So, yeah, that's no good to me. And you get, so, ship required, passage to the Thummelhort system. But I haven't got any cabins. So, well, if we take a look at it. So you ask... they have this whole list of responses here. So how many are you? There are 3 of them. So you would need 3 cabins. So it's 1 person per cabin. And then you can ask, you know, why so much money, what you can see. But you can also ask for more money. So how much is this? Repeat original request. So they're paying 540. If you ask for more money and they agree to it, which of course they won't at the moment because I'm fucking harmless and I haven't done anything, but if they agree to pay more, they'll pay an extra 10%, so that will then become 594. Then you can ask for half the money in advance, or you can ask for all of the money in advance. If they are really desperate, then they will do that. They will pay you all of the money in advance. But they will only do that if you agree to take them. But what you can do, of course, is if they give you all the money and then you say, okay, agreed, and then eject them from your ship. If you do that, though, the chances are they will come after you and they'll start attacking you while you're out in space. They will announce themselves. You do get messages from ships while you're flying around in space and that, so yeah, they'll make sure you know it's them. So right, now we have here the federal military. They if you do missions for them, they're mercenary missions. You don't actually join the army or navy or whatever. And because this would be the first mission I've done for them, they're very, very simple. It's just deliver documents or deliver some messages to blah 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 system. They give you a time limit. It's currently the 1st of January. So this one here, if I deliver them on the 23rd of January, okay, yeah, that's actually plenty of time. 22 days, it doesn't matter how slow your ship is, you will get there in that time. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, you may think I'm taking a piss here by saying, oh yeah, you will do it in 22 days, but, well. So yeah, you also get the bulletins here where people are desperate for a particular commodity and they will pay double the market price for them. Again, more passenger missions, and then one to take a small package. But this is also where you will find people to be crew members for your ship, and then you have to select how much you're going to pay them. You ask them, you know, if they've got any experience. You ask them why they want the job. You know, it's just far more interactive than in fucking Elite Dangerous. And then you can alter the rate that you pay them. 5 credits is the lowest, and depending on how they've answered your questions about why they want the job and that, that gives you an idea of how much you can pay them. If they say they are sick of living in this system, or they've made some enemies, you know you can pay them 5 credits, the minimum level, and it's all good and done. So the wage goes up in 5 credit increments up to 20 credits. That's per week, so it's not exactly a fortune, even if you're paying them top whack. You know, 20 credits a week, yeah. And then finally, you get bulletins like this: missing person, Anya Jordan last seen in the Wolf 630 system, 120 paid for useful information. Now when you contact people, let's have a look at this one. So he says, hi, I'm Mike Lee, blah 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 blah. So they tell you their name. So you could go through the whole bulletin board, and then if you see the name Anya Jordan, you then contact the missing person, pass on the information, and you get paid 120 credits for it. I can remember back in the day, this one here, Anya Jordan had a message on this message board, but Stacey Mansfield, but I think it's been removed in this version. That's the bloke I already checked. Sally Austin, no. 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 Looks like yeah. Mary Jordan, that's not it. And yeah, so she's not on this board here, but I mean, if you contacted her and you say yeah, the first time I did it, I said, oh, she's in a cabin on my ship. And the reply was, not anymore, she isn't, and they just took her. But they didn't pay you. If you give them some other information, say in this one, Anya Jordan has an ad on this bulletin board, then they will pay you, if it's accurate. If it's not, then, well, wrong, I checked 5 minutes ago. There you go, so... So that is the bulletin board. Then finally the stock market. Well, I've already shown you this one when I was buying my fuel. So this is where you buy your cargo, but you need to know what cargo to buy. So if we go to the galaxy map again, and right, this is the system we're in. So we click on 6 and it shows you the information for this system. So Merlin, this is the planet that we are landed on. Yes, we're on a planet with an atmosphere, world with indigenous life and oxygen atmosphere. And this was something that you could do in this game right from the start. And yet Elite Dangerous is getting on for 3 years old and you still can't do this. There are several areas where this game makes a fucking mockery of what Frontier Developments have done with Elite Dangerous, and this is one of them. I've landed on a platform, on a you know, station outpost on a planet, and it's a planet that has an atmosphere. And I could do this right from the start. You still can't do this in Elite Dangerous. Fucking ridiculous. So anyway, you can check out the government type and all this. So federal colonial rule, capitalist federation, population, and then sector code and all that. But this is what I'm particularly interested in, is its major exports and imports. So major exports: animal meat, water, liquid oxygen, animal skins. Okay. And if we then go back to the galaxy map and check out the system we're going to, which is Barnard Star. Right, major imports, animal meat is down there. So it's a major export from where we are, and it's a major import here. So that's what I will take. Right, animal meat, where is it? There it is, 94, so I can buy 2 tons of it. Right, so that leaves me with 19.5, not a lot. Okay, so we carry on with the views here. 7 is the launch button, but you'll notice that it has this warning over it because well, we haven't got permission to leave yet, so yeah, if you click on that you'll get a fine. So yeah, we need permission first. 8 would be the hyperspace. It's also the key if you want to use a hyperspace cloud analyzer to find out where the ship, yeah, if you see a hyperspace cloud, you can find out where that ship has gone and when it will get there. And also if you want to use the radar mapper, again it's on 8 here. 9 is to raise and lower the undercarriage, and 10 will at the moment show the labels for all of the other planets and other objects within the system that you're in. Now again, several of these keys here, they have different functions, so they will vary throughout. I mean, for example, when we're in the galaxy map, these all change. So 6 brings you the information that I showed you earlier. 7 and 8 zooms in and out. 9 allows you to turn on or off various info that it's showing you here, and 10 shows you the galactic map. Now this is a bit of a how many star systems do you think are in this game? Nope, you're wrong. It's 100 million. 100 million star systems. Now in Elite Dangerous there are 400 million, but of course they're not actually kept in your installation. They're kept on an online server. Why? This game has 100 million plus the whole code for actually running the entire game saved on one floppy disk. It's not even a high density disk, it's a double density disk, and when formatted 880k. So in 880k they've managed to program the entire game, and they have the data for the positioning of 100 million systems. Now let's be generous and say that, you know, we'll round up the disk capacity to 1 megabyte, and let's be even more generous and say that the programming for all of the various systems and that is the whole code for that 1 megabyte. That means that in order to get the code for all 400 systems in Elite Dangerous, we'll use up 4 meg. Now why was that? You know, why were they incapable of putting that into the installation on your computer? Why did it have to be done on a separate server which you have to connect to online all the time? It's fucking ridiculous is what it is. Anyway, enough of Elite Dangerous for the moment. Right, so we are going to launch into Barnard Star. We have our 2 tons of animal meat which we are going to take, and we have 2 tons of fuel. So first thing then is to get launching permission, which they have given us. So we now launch, raise the undercarriage. Oh Christ, I've got it. Let me reverse up and down controls. Right, that is definitely the only the last control I need to do. Right, now you need to set your speed. So we'll set the speed to 4,654. And you'll see our actual speed is going up to meet it. Our altitude, once we're actually out of the planet's atmosphere, the altitude then disappears. You can see we can already hyperspace, but I'll do that in a moment. I'm now going to try and explain flight in this game, because you can hear now the engines have stopped. And if we look at the exterior shot, yeah, the thrusters are not firing. So this game uses the full Newtonian physics, and is therefore is a much more accurate sort of representation of spaceflight than Elite is. If you want to make it fairly simple, if you imagine playing Elite Dangerous but always having flight assist off, that's what you've got here. Except there's no roll. You can pitch and yaw, but yeah, no roll. Again, I'm okay with that. So we'll set speed up again, so 7,117. Again, the thrusters, you can see, are going to get us up to that speed, and then they stop again. There we go. So we're now out in space. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure we're far enough away from the planet so that I can show, get a little bit further away. So we'll set to 15,000. Alright, that's fine. Okay, right, and now we'll set it so that we are not moving. Now, retro rockets do take a lot longer to fire, so slowing us down can take a while. After you've hyperspaced and you're making your way to a docking station or landing on a planet somewhere, a lot of the time you start slowing down while you are still almost 7 astronomical units away from your destination. So we are slowing down now quite nicely, and we have stopped. Now you'll notice on the front here, on the main display, there are actually 2 crosshairs. Now because I'm not moving, the 2 crosshairs are moving together, but you have the crosshairs here, the horizontal and the vertical. That's your gun sights. That is the direction that your ship is facing. The diagonal crosshairs are the direction that your ship is actually travelling in. So as we're not moving, we have no forward momentum, they stay together. So now let's get some speed up. If we move, you'll see that these crosshairs now take longer to catch up with the direction we're facing. Because although we're moving no problem, we're flying forwards, just because you've changed the direction you're facing doesn't mean the ship is automatically going to start flying in that direction. So if we put it onto an external view, you see us moving around. You see the underside thruster there is firing, and on larger ships you'll see side thrusters firing, in order to try and get the ship to actually travel in the direction that we are now facing. So it is a much more accurate model of space flight. The other thing is that although acceleration and deceleration rates change, all ships do have the same theoretical maximum speed, which is of course limitless. there are no forces in space, you know, for the most part. There's no friction or anything to slow you down. So once you set a speed, you know, the thrusters will carry on going, propelling you faster and faster and faster until you've reached that speed. But there is nothing to slow you down, nothing to stop you. So you can have your thrusters firing away, making you go faster and faster still, and nothing will stop that. So there is no limit to the speed with which you can travel. Which does, of course, lead me to question something that was once said in a video I once saw. This is going back some 2 years or so ago. A certain Daddy07, before he started deleting his accounts over and over again, did a video where he was saying, he was talking about Frontier, and he was saying that he had the Panther Clipper, the biggest ship, and its maneuverability was terrible. It was really, really slow. Well, that's fucking bullshit. All ships in Frontier have the same maneuverability in space. It's just a question of how quickly it can you know, get itself to actually travel in the direction you're facing, and they all had the same top speed, which was limitless. So this whole thing about, oh yeah, I had the Panther Clipper and it was really slow and sluggish and all this, fucking bullshit. Anyway, so let's set it to stop. I don't think I've used, you know, I haven't even touched the fuel I've got. So we've got our hyperspace destination set, which is Barnard Star here. Now in Elite Dangerous, when you press the key to engage the hyperspace, you sit there and wait for it to charge up and up and up, and it finally charges. So you can hyperspace. Oh no, you can't. You've got the fucking countdown then. 5-second countdown. Right, now you can hyperspace. Yes, you can. And then you sit there watching the loading screen as it loads in the next you know, system from the server, because 4 megs of data is far too much to actually put into the installation on your computer. And then you finally arrive. It's ridiculously long-winded. In Elite, when you hyperspace, you do get a countdown, 10 or 15 seconds depending on which version you play, and then you know, bosh, off you go. In this, hyperspace is a little quicker, because we'll click on 8 now, and we're there, which is Barnard Star. In fact, you can hyperspace 9 times at least in this game for each 1 time it takes you to hyperspace in Elite Dangerous. So anyway, now that we are in Barnard Star, we want to check the local map. And I know that Birmingham World is a planet that has an orbiting station. So we'll double click to zoom right in, double click on 7. And 8 to zoom out a bit, and Boston base is there. So now 10 is a destination for the autopilot. We want to go to the Boston base. So we engage the autopilot, and he will take us there. Now, this is why the autopilot is so important. I've shown you how the game works, how the mechanics of spaceflight works in this. It is fucking difficult to get to grips with, and manual flying is extremely tricky. Now, something else that is not here but was in Elite is the ability to jump. You know, when you press J and you skip a bit and fast forward a bit. In here it's done a bit differently. You may notice these like pause, play, fast forward, blah 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 keys here. They are not for decoration. Now pause, if you need me to explain what that is, then you have problems. These all accelerate time. It's called the Dream something or other, I can't remember the actual name. But because travelling through space takes an awful long time, you speed up time using these keys to get you through the travelling. Before I show you that though, look at the time and the date. It was the 1st of January when we launched. It's now the 6th of January. That hyperspace jump has taken 5 days. This is what I mean about game time is a lot faster. So if we bump up the speed to 4 times, a lot of the time if you put it onto 5, you can almost guarantee you're going to be attacked. And at the moment I am in no condition to you know, go up against an enemy ship, because the weapon I've got, if I just put it back on the regular speed again, this is the weapon you have. 1 megawatt pulse laser, the weediest weapon in the game. Now you've seen how flight is done, and of course the enemy ships are all flying the same way. It makes combat in the beginning extremely fucking difficult, and frankly extremely annoying and a bit tedious. It's the weakest area of the game. It doesn't stay that way. Once you've progressed a bit and you've been able to get a better weapon, then it's okay. But yeah, using pulse lasers in this is just awful. So you can see our acceleration rate, you can also hear it, is starting to slow. And eventually the retros will kick in and it will start slowing us down. Right, so we're now decelerating and we are 5.4 astronomical units away from our destination. In case you don't know, an astronomical unit is the mean distance between Earth and the Sun. So we were, you know, over 5 times the distance from Earth, 5 times the distance between Earth and the Sun away from the docking station, and we've already had to start decelerating this far out. Another example of why flying manually is so fucking tough. Now sometimes you can run out of fuel here. Now when that happens you'll get a warning, and obviously your engine's cut out, and what you then need to do is click on refuel here if you have the hydrogen fuel on board. If you don't, then what you have to do is click on the communicator and you can broadcast message to all in range saying that your ship has broken down and you need help. If you're lucky, a ship will come along and take you to a docking station. If you're unlucky, a group of pirates will hear the message and come along and try and destroy you. You can also send a message to Boston base and ask them to send you their market price list, so that you know in advance how much you're going to get for your cargo. That has a cost, I think it's 1 credit, but I never bother with that. But again, little touches like that, you can't do any of those things in Elite Dangerous. This is a game that was released in '93. And yet Elite Dangerous, you can't do that now, 2017. Okay, so we're now here. We've got docking permission. The autopilot automatically asks for docking permission. It also automatically lowers the undercarriage, so it just takes us in. Now if you want to skip all of this, you can again, you know, use the Dream, whatever it is, to speed up the time. And I must admit I do that a hell of a lot. Sometimes the autopilot is a bit shit at docking, and this looks like one of those times. It's sending us into the wall. So what I'm going to do is speed it up to force it to dock properly. Alright, so here we have the copy protection. yeah, that's not important. Right, I forgot about this sound effect in the station. The space station noise is a bit annoying. The wind noise I don't mind so much. So, right, I'm sure now, I've said it a few times already, but I'm sure that is the last of those options. Now, you may have also noticed that when we docked, you have to pay a docking fee. The most expensive docking fee is 4 credits. There are some places that charge you as little as 1. But at the start, well, when you first arrive, you have to pay the docking fee. And then at the start of each day, so if you stay here for, you know, a long period of time, and the next day starts in-game, then you have to pay the docking fee again. Again, I've got no problem with that. So, right, let's check the bulletin board, see if anyone is desperate for my animal meat. Somehow I doubt it. No. Right, well, we'll sell animal meat then. Oh, that's why no one was desperate for it. There's 1 ton available here. But there we go. So our cash is up to 370.3. And we still have 1 ton of hydrogen fuel. Now here, the shipyard, they have far more ships and far more upgrades. So if you look at the ships, actually they don't have a great deal here after all. They often do though. So you can buy a Viper. That's what the Vipers look like in this. The Transporter, they're also in Elite. So that's how they look. Cobra Mark 1. So here's what I don't get. In Elite, the Cobra Mark 1 was described as being like old hat and that. And, you know, replaced with the Cobra Mark 3. And yet here it is. And yet the Mamba, which was a brand new ship in Elite, is not here. I just don't get that. Oh well. And there's another Constrictor here as well. But upgrades, yeah, they do have a lot more upgrades here. They don't have everything, but they have almost everything. So we'll go through what some of these upgrades are. Auto refueler, that refueling thing that I just described, you know, if you run out of fuel in space, this will automatically do it for you, so you haven't got to keep going to your inventory screen here and then clicking refuel. That option there, yeah, the auto refueler will do all that for you. You'll also notice that there are different missiles. There's a homing missile and a smart missile. There's actually a third one. I think it's the naval missile. The homing missile will be destroyed by an ECM. The smart missile is immune to the regular ECM, but there's a second ECM system, the naval ECM, that will destroy the smart missile as well. The third missile type is the naval missile. They are impervious to all ECM systems. So yes, it's not just a case of fitting an ECM and you don't have to worry about missiles anymore. If you've got naval, or if you've got a naval ECM system, then most of the time you're fine, but you could still get a ship firing naval missiles at you, and then, well, you just got to try and outrun the missile, which is possible, as I've already described. Your top speed is unlimited, so yeah, missiles, you have to use them very, very differently in this game compared to Elite. I'll come to those when we get some combat. So then atmospheric shielding, I've told you that one, so you need that if you want to land on any planet. Laser cooling booster, there's obviously heat generated from your weapons. That will improve cooling. Cargo bay life support. If you're going to sell either slaves or live animals, you've got to have the cargo bay life support fitted. If you haven't got it fitted and you buy slaves or live animals, then when you check your inventory, they have been turned into fertilizer, which I think is pretty good actually. The scanner, so yeah, your scanner that appears down here, there you go. Yep, you've got to buy that. 1 megawatt pulse laser is the laser that I've got at the moment. It's utterly crap. Radar mapper. Now this thing, in Elite, when you destroy a ship, you get you know, credits for the bounty. In this, you don't, unless you have the radar mapper, because this will identify the attacking ship. So you've got to first of all select the attacking ship, then use the radar mapper on it. It will identify it and find out what bounties are on that ship, and then it will give you pay you that bounty when you destroy the enemy ship there. So although destroying enemy ships will obviously help with your combat rating, you won't get any credits for it unless you've got this thing fitted and used. The ECM system I've already explained, so that's the regular one. It will destroy homing missiles, but that's it. Automatic pilot, well, you've seen that in action. That is essential. Passenger cabin, I mean, you've seen the missions on the bulletin board. So you need 1 passenger cabin per passenger, and they take up 5 tons. So if I fit one of those, that's it. I cannot fit anything else. We'll just scroll down a bit. Right, so hyperspace cloud analyzer, I mentioned that briefly earlier. You'll see the hyperspace clouds from, you know, left behind from ships. Use the cloud analyzer. It tells you what ship it was, where it's going, and what time it's going to arrive, because as I showed, it took us 5 days to get through our hyperspace jump. Now if you come across a really big ship, because larger ships take longer to travel through hyperspace, and you feel like either attacking it or, you know, or it's wanted and you want to go after it for the bounty, you use the hyperspace cloud analyzer, so you know where it's going and when it's going to arrive. And if your ship is quite small and quite light, there's a very good chance that if you hyperspace there, you'll arrive before they do, so you can then wait for them to show up and then destroy them when they actually arrive. Likewise, the enemy ships can do that to you, so yeah, you need to watch out. Shield generator is self-explanatory. You can fit as many shield generators as you like, and they will strengthen your shields with each one that you have fitted. But yeah, you start off with no shields, and in fact I don't use shields all that often. In my safe game, which I'll load up in a bit, I do have, I think I've got 2, maybe 3 fitted, but yeah, that's it. 5 megawatt pulse laser. I mean, I don't like pulse lasers in this game anyway, because combat is just so fucking difficult with them. But it is a lot more powerful than the 1 megawatt one. That one takes up 3 tons of space. Fuel scoop, well, obviously, you know, scooping fuel, but in this game you don't scoop fuel from stars, you scoop fuel from gas giants. Cargo scoop conversion, you have to have that fitted if you want to use your fuel scoop to scoop up you know, cargo that's dropped by enemy ships or whatever. So you can't use your fuel scoop to get cargo. You've got to have the cargo scoop conversion done first before you can do that. Interplanetary drive, you will almost certainly never fit that. That is in place of a hyperdrive, but obviously you can't hyperspace to a system that will only take you, between destinations within the system you're in. 1 megawatt beam laser, so the weakest of the beam lasers, but I do prefer the beam lasers in this game. They, well, as they were in, or as they are rather, in Elite Dangerous, it's just a constant laser beam being shot out. It's not like the pulse laser, so they work differently to how they work in the original Elite, which is just a slightly faster firing rate and slightly more powerful. Here it's a constant firing rate. It makes combat much easier. Class 1 hyperdrive, the most basic hyperdrive, that's what this ship has. Energy booster unit. In the original Elite, that boosted up the recovery of your energy and your shields. In this, that boosts the recovery of your shields only, because of course damage to the hull has to be repaired once you've docked, unless you have a particular item. There is a auto repair unit for hulls, but it's enormous. Only the biggest ships can carry them. 30 watt mining laser I've never used. I don't know much about mining in this game because I've never done it, so I don't know, maybe, I'm sure there's a video on YouTube somewhere that shows you how to mine in this game, but yeah, I've never done any mining, so yeah, I've never used that thing. 4 megawatt beam laser, obviously a more powerful beam laser. That is the one that I have fitted to my ship in my saved game. Escape capsule, exactly the same as it is in Elite. Class 2 hyperdrive, so it's a bigger hyperdrive which has more range. 100 megawatt beam laser, extremely powerful beam laser. There are other beam lasers between the 4 megawatt and the 100 megawatt. It's not that huge a jump, but this place doesn't have all the other things. Class 3 hard drive, Class 1 military drive. Now the military drives give you the same range as its hyperdrive counterpart, so this will give you the same range as the Class 1, but you'll see it's smaller. This is 6 tons, not 10 tons of the Class 1 hyperdrive. But they do have their drawbacks. They use a different fuel. They have to use military fuel, as some cunt outside has started a fucking petrol driven leaf blower. So yeah, they use military fuel, which is a lot more expensive, and when you use it, for each ton of fuel you use up, it generates a ton of radioactives which you have to get rid of. You can dump it, but jettisoning anything in this game is illegal. If you're caught, you get a hefty fine. And to sell it, to get rid of it, you have to pay the docking station to take it off your hands. Then like Class 4 and Class 5 hyperdrives, again just bigger, more better range if your ship can fit them. And then a small plasma accelerator, extremely powerful weapon. It doesn't matter what ship you're going up against, usually 2 hits from that is enough to finish it off. But then it should be. This thing costs 300,000 to fit, and it's 500 tons. Now there are other items that you can fit to your ship other than these ones here, but this one hasn't got them all listed, but that just gives you a rough idea of what is available. So right, let's head somewhere else then. Let's head to Sol. So this will be Earth and Co. Now look at all these starports on Earth: London, Paris, Tokyo, New York, Moscow, New San Francisco and Sydney. You can land at any one of them. Try doing that in Elite Dangerous. It's fucking ridiculous. This game was released in 1993 and you could do this right from the get-go, but in Elite Dangerous, approaching 3 years after launch, and you still can't do that. So major imports here are computers and farm machinery. They'll also import heavy plastics, metal alloys and robots. Now I don't know if I can afford computers or robots. I think I'm going to have to get farm machinery. Yeah, I'll just show here. So yeah, radioactive is minus 4.3. So yeah, you have to pay them to take them off your hands. Likewise, they will pay you if you was to buy them, but where you're going to take them, I don't know. I say you could try dumping them, but yeah, you're not likely to make very many friends doing that, and you will be fined eventually. So I can buy 1 ton of computers, and that's it. So I've only used 2 tons of cargo space, but I can't afford anything else. I'll take a chance and see if I can get to if I can dock without buying any more hydrogen fuel. So what we'll do is yeah, we've got the destination set, so let's launch. Okay, so landing gear up. Once we are far enough away from the base, we can then hyperspace. So here we are. Now, local chart, Earth, and yeah, let's land on a surface then. So let's land at London. Alright, engage autopilot, so we are 8.17 astronomical units away. Speed things up. Can't remember if I've said, but yeah, I find a lot of the time, if I select the 5 speeding up, that nearly always ensures that an enemy ship will attack me. Fuck it, let's try it. Seem to be doing okay. There we go. And we are now touching down on London. I'll speed it up a bit. There we go. Right. So we are landed in the spaceport in London. Something that you cannot do in Elite Dangerous, and yet you can do it here in a game released in '93. It's probably a good job you can't see me on the webcam, because anyway, let's see if anyone here is desperate for my computers. A lot of the time there is someone here who will pay over the odds for them on the but no one. So right, well we'll certainly make a reasonable profit anyway. So we're now up to 542 credits, having sold our 1 ton of computers. So anyway, that's how we start off, but let's show the game when I've made a bit of progress. Let's load Commander Lukozer. There we are. Now here I'm in an Asp Explorer, which has a Class 3 hyperdrive. I haven't upgraded it or anything. The Class 3 hyperdrive is the one that this ship comes with, which gives us a maximum jump range of 12 light years. So I have 2 shield generators, I have cargo bay life support, scanner, ECM system, automatic pilot, atmospheric shielding, laser cooling booster, auto refueler, and I have a front 4 megawatt beam laser, but no rear mounting, largely because I don't use it. And my ranks, federal rank, I'm now up to private, which is only the first rank. Imperial title is Surf, again that's only the first rank, and elite rating is only mostly harmless. I also have the permit to travel to Ross 128. Yeah, my crew roster, so Rosalind Boston, who I'm paying minimum wage. So yeah, you click on that and you sack them. If you do, they say usually something along the lines of "good riddance, you're going to regret sacking me," and at some point they will come after you again, or they'll get somebody else to come after you, so they don't take kindly to being sacked. Yeah, I currently only have 1 ton of hydrogen fuel. I've got to sort that out. And I am in Facheche, which you may recognise if you watch my Elite Dangerous videos. I frequently go there. I want to go to Vequest, which requires 5 tons of fuel to do the jump. I will take 7 tons of fuel. Now, Vequest often results in some combat. So what I will do is fit an upgrade that I kept forgetting to fit, which is the radar mapper. There it is. Right, so that costs 1,000. Well, I have 110,237.5 left after getting that, so yeah, I'm okay with that. Right, and then stock market, I'm trying to remember, is it Bequest that buy slaves, or is that where I buy them and sell them in Facheche? Yeah, okay, major exports are slaves, so I sell slaves here, so I've got to take animal meat, I think, by the looks of it. This place does also have animal skins. Yeah, let's try animal skins. Right, so 31 tons of those. Hyperspace destination is set. Off we go. Now, I think I'm in an orbiting station here. Yes, I am. So, raise the undercarriage, put on the info, and off we go. So we're now in West. Bring up the local map. Big Hollow, I think that's where I need to go. Yeah, I'm not going to Dick, it's Dickens base. There we go. That's my hyperspace cloud back there. We'll shoot past that. Put it on 5, see if we get any enemy ships. Here we are. Right, so we have to put it back on manual control. The hard part is targeting the ships because they move so fast. Fucking hell. Doesn't help that this cunt is just circling me. It's not doing anything. Sound is a bit suspect. It's you don't always hear your own shots, but you do hear when you hit the enemy vessel. I'm still trying to target the cunt. I want to I get the feeling he's regretting attacking me, and is hoping that I would just leave him alone. Where's he gone? There he is. Right, so that's targeted him, but right, radar mapper. Hawk airfighter, so it's a tiny little thing. Right, there you go, got one hit on him. Hull down to 16%, so one more hit and he's down. There we go. Right, let's set the autopilot again. Oh bollocks, I clicked on my fucking empty space. Alright. There we go. It's now saying target's out of range. Don't know why it's saying that. It certainly isn't. Alright, who have we got now? Another fucking pissant little thing that isn't going to do anything. So I'm not even going to bother doing the radar mapper. You see what I mean about combat with this flight mechanic can be a bit fucking awkward. One hit, second hit will finish him. And it's far more difficult if you have the pulse laser, because the pulse laser doesn't fire a constant shot. Another fucking pisshead one who isn't going to fire on me because he knows I'm too strong. Now the other thing is that using your weapons also uses fuel. So again, you've got to take this into account when you're fueling up your ship. Fuck it, I clicked on a fucking empty space again. That is rather annoying when it does that. Alright. I think it's saying target out of range because it's gone behind the planet, and so I've got to fly, or something is between me and the target destination. So it seemed to be okay though. Maybe I'll put it up to 5. So there's Big's Hollow appeared on the display. Yeah, so it's now going a bit fucking mental because it... There it is. Alright. So now we'll zoom in. Why is it fucking doing this? Alright, let's try setting it again. I do remember occasionally there were times when it would do this and just keep pissing about. It's one of the issues with the autopilot. It's one of the bugs in it. Oh, okay, that's why. I've got something else selected. There we go. Right. So now, take us there. Oops, I'm on manual control still. Oh, fuck's sake, and now all the bays are full. Where has the... I think it's behind that. Oh no, there it is. But yes, the bays are all full, so I can't dock there. Alright, well in that case, fuck it. Let's land on the planet then. So, Hooper. Select that one, we'll land there. And plough it to the planet's surface because I fucked up somewhere. Oh well, you get to see the game over screen, which is no surprise because you see that screen a hell of a lot. So let's try that again, shall we? Without the fucking up this time. Alright, so request. 7 tons was clearly enough, so I know how much to take. Alright, hydrogen fuel 7, and I took animal skins, didn't I? Oh, so I've got to take one off because I want to get that radar mapper. Fuck it, come on, I'm all over the place now. Upgrade radar mapper, there it is. Right. Actually, while I'm here, let's see if there are any other missions that are going to request. When missions, they all say, you know, like this one, take a passage to Ashenar system. You can land anywhere in the system, and you know the mission is completed. You don't have to go to a particular station. Take a small package to request. So why so much money? It's just a normal parcel, right? It's not so much money. 150 credits is fuck all. Will there be any problems? No. Let's see if he'll give me more money. No, 150 is all in pay. Well, I don't really want half the money now, but I'll say it. There you go. So pays half once I agree, and half on arrival. Okay, agreed. Right, so that's one to request that I'm doing. That's passengers, and so's that. Well, let's see about those military ones. Anything for requests? Yes. First one, 11th of July. Don't have time. I really need at least 8 days, and that gives me 7. So no, I won't do that one. That gives me plenty of time. What danger will it put me in? Very little. Okay, I'll do that one. "17th of July, yeah, right. Yeah, do that one. I'm going to get quite a few ships coming after me now, I think. 18th of July, right. What danger? Very little. Right, do that one. That's it, right. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 missions, 3 of which are Imperial Navy. That might be enough to get me up to the next Imperial rank. So right, let's see if I can actually do it this time. So while I'm doing this one, let's finally get the review underway. I think I've shown you how the game is played and how it looks. Like I said from the start, I think this game is fantastic. I'm a big fan of it. I do actually prefer this to the original Elite. I know there aren't a huge number of people who could say that, but yes, I am one. I was basically a fan of this game from day one, and well, I still am. Graphically, I think it's fantastic. I really don't see how they could have made the graphics any better than they are. In terms of audio, the audio is a bit flaky on this emulator. You heard the sound of my ship's laser, just, well, there was no sound. I didn't used to have that problem back in the day, so that's got to be an emulator thing, that's not the game. And then in terms of gameplay, I think it's definitely a really good step up from Elite. All of the new features I think work really well, or at least they do when there are no bugs. Now, unfortunately the game was bugged when it was released, and well, how about this? The reason given for the bugs was, well, it was given by David Braben, the Braben cunt himself, as it was rush released by GameTek. They kept pressing them to get it released at a certain time. Oh, really? The thing is, when the sequel to this came along, which is First Encounters, it was released full of bugs, and the reason was that, or the reason given by the Braben cunt was, oh, it was rush released by the publisher. And then Elite Dangerous came along. Yeah, I think you're seeing a pattern here. Oh, it was released full of bugs, and it still has loads of bugs. And when it was first released, there was absolutely fuck all in the way of content. But this time, it was self-published by Frontier Developments themselves. So they couldn't use the excuse of, you know, the publishers forcing them to release it too early. Consequently, we haven't actually been told anything about why it was released in the shitty condition that it was released in, and why there are still so many bugs in it today. Because Frontier Development's solution to answering such questions is to say absolutely fuck all. And that's been their answers for a long old time. Anyway, enough about all of that. We're still on Frontier. So yeah, I think the game is fantastic. I really cannot fault it. With, actually no, tell a lie. It does have one fault, and that is it is very unforgiving when you start, and when you're in your shitty Eagle, which can at best take 2 hits from enemy shots, and you're in combat, and you've got that shitty 1 megawatt pulse laser, which requires about 3 hits on the smallest of enemy ships to destroy them. And you've seen how awkward this the Newtonian flight model can make combat. Yeah, with the 1 megawatt pulse laser, it is so fucking irritating, and it does actually get quite tedious, because you can be stuck there for an age trying to defeat the enemy ship. The other thing is missiles. They're not completely redundant, but they are largely quite useless. Well, because there is no limit to the speed that any ship can travel, if you launch one at an enemy ship, it can just, you know, go full throttle and get the fuck away from it. So the only way you can use missiles effectively in this is wait for the enemy ship to like swing by you, as you saw the enemy ship do in this game, and when it swings by really close, then launch the missile, because otherwise you basically wasted the thing. So the bay, well, there is a bay empty this time. Right, so let's dock. 3 has been taken, and now they'll all start to take their parcels and shit from me. There you go, so that's that one taken, and the next 3 are all Imperial Navy parcels. As you can see, I got there in plenty of time. I could have even done that one for 14th of July. Oh well. Right, 2 more to go. I mean, it doesn't look like they pay a lot, but when you can stack a few up like that, I mean, I got over 1,000 for doing fuck all, really. There we go. And that music by Mussorgsky means I've gained a new naval rank with the Empire. There you go, Imperial title is now Master. Right, let's see if anyone is desperate for my animal skins. You'll also see things like this, wanted nerve gas. Now nerve gas is obviously very, very dodgy stuff if you're going to try dealing in that. And sometimes these are set up by the police. When you click on it, they arrest you. Likewise with these, goods bought and sold, highest prices paid for items interesting or otherwise, that's where you sell illegal stuff. And again, sometimes they're set up by the police who will arrest you when you click on it. So yeah, you got to be careful with those. So okay, no one is desperate for my animal skins. So we'll sell 31 tons of those. So I made a small profit there. Looks like I made about 3,000. So see, I don't need 7, 6 is plenty. Alright, so we'll buy slaves. So I make really good money on slaves, and I have got the cargo bay life support, so I can do that. Right, we'll do one last run to Facheche, and I think that will be this review done then. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to save my commander because I've gone up a rank, so I want that saved. Oh, actually, before I launch, now that we're in Imperial space, let's see if they have yeah, the Imperial Courier, which is in Elite Dangerous, but in Elite Dangerous it's a small ship. Here its capacity is 350 tons, it's huge. And if you take a look, it's the ship from the intro sequence. And it is a really nice looking thing. That's a ship I'm quite keen to get. But the one up from that is the Imperial Trader. Now there are 2 ships from Frontier that everybody wants to see in Elite Dangerous. One is the Panther Clipper, which we keep saying will be arriving, but there's no sign of it so far. The other is the Imperial Trader, this one. Because everybody who saw this in '92, as soon as they saw that design, were thinking the Liberator from Blake 7, which was such an iconic design that although, no, 93 this came out, so when this game was released, it had been 12 years since Blake 7 was shown on television, 13 years since the Liberator was shown, because of course the Liberator is destroyed at the end of Series 3, and yet because the design was so iconic, as soon as they saw that, everybody wanted this ship, so they could say, alright, I'm in the Liberator now. And it's also the ship that everyone wants to see in Elite Dangerous. I very much doubt it will appear in Elite Dangerous, because I don't think they can get it to fit into the you know, the access tunnels of docking stations. So yeah, good one, eh? Anyway, right, enough of that. Yeah, I just had to double check that I have all my stuff. Right, so let's head to Facheche again. Cheche is usually pretty quiet. You don't usually have to worry too much about enemy ships here. You can bet your life now that I've said that, they're going to show up. There we go, right. Pilot on, time speed up. So what rating do I give this? Like I say, it's not infallible. Combat when you start is a pain in the arse, and the game is very unforgiving. You start off in a very, very weak ship, and you can't take too many hits. But once you do start making progress, then the game really comes alive and it becomes really enjoyable to play. So I will score this game 9 out of 10. And if you have an Amiga 1200 or you have Win UAE and can configure it to run as an Amiga 1200, then this is definitely a game to try if you haven't played it before. If you have played it before, then what better reason to start playing it again, because I think it's so much more enjoyable than Elite. It's vastly more enjoyable than Elite Dangerous. I just think it is a great game. I'm a big fan of it and have been for a long time. So that is Frontier Elite 2, a very long-winded review, but finally done. Those of you who have been waiting for, like, 2 years or whatever for it, it's finally here and finally finished. So Frontier Elite 2 then for Commodore Amiga, 9 out of 10. That brings this review to an end, and we will see you at the next one.